Hey everyone, this is Eric Nelson with Nelson Gunsmithing. I know I don't do a lot of these format kind of videos here, but I wanted to speak up in support of the Suited Shootist. He's a newcomer, just started his YouTube channel up, name's Alex. He's a great guy. And he took a big chance because the first real big video he dropped was the story about how he got outed at work with his carry piece. And the second order consequences of that, he lost his job, he got blacklisted in his industry, and he lost most of a year of finances. And that's a real heavy hit for a young family to take. Now, he pulled through and he got through it. But what surprises me is that the reaction to that very personal story where he suffered real loss, been a lot of very asinine comments from people who don't understand what private property rules are, or who think that just because they want the world to be a certain way, it's going to be. Fact is that there are people out there who do not like guns. They do not like the fact that you have a gun, and they will do whatever they can to disarm you or to use that against you, and they will go to bed with a clear conscience. So the gray man thing is not just about hiding from criminals. It's about hiding from people who want to exploit your passion for your civil rights. What I want to bring up here next is a story that popped up in the PHLster Community Group, and I want to make sure it didn't get buried because I think it's an important one. In front of the poster here, he was mentioning that he's against bumper stickers on cars. He said this happened to a friend of his. He was out driving, and souped up ricer with a Honda came up behind him, 100 miles an hour, cut him off. They were jockeying back and forth. His friend was flipping them off. They were flipping him off. A little road rage incident stuff, but nothing really major. So they blew past him, this guy's friend. And he's driving along. He sees the cops have the Honda pulled over. All right, cool, little karma, right? Well, 3 miles later, he gets stopped by 3 highway patrol officers at gunpoint. And they tell him that the driver of the Honda and his passengers all said that this guy pulled a gun on them and was waving it around and threatening to shoot them. And it had just so happened that this guy had a firearm on him. He was carrying it legally. The reason the guys in the Honda knew this is because when they pulled behind him, they saw that he had an H&K sticker on his bumper, or H&K bumper sticker. And that was it. And he got arrested. He saw overnight in jail before he could get bailed out. Concealed carry permit was temporarily suspended and confiscated. The gun was confiscated, and he's been told he won't get it back. That's a hard takeaway there for a little brand support. And the fact that these guys swatted him just because of a little road rage goes to show that there are people out there who will go to some pretty great lengths to screw with you as a gun owner if they can. Now, with that in mind, I'm going to tell you guys about the time I got swatted. Now, I was lucky. The outcome was not negative. I think it happened it's because it happened in a small town. Happened with cops that I relatively knew. And the way that it played out, I walked away from it pretty happy. It could have been a lot worse, and more importantly, it could have been completely avoided. So I was fresh back from Iraq. I had stopped at home for 2 weeks, see my friends and family. Bought my first handgun. It was a Springfield XD and a Serpa holster. I kid you not. It was 10 years ago. I know better now. I really do. And I'll go up to my old college town, which is where I lived. I liked living there. And I'm walking from my apartment to downtown. Now, Moscow's a really quiet town. 10,000 permanent residents, maybe 10,000 more flux when the students come in. So I'm halfway through my walk, just enjoying the nice crisp weather, and I hear sirens behind me. And I turn around, and there's a cop. He's got his tires up on the curb, and he's getting out of his vehicle very quickly. He goes, "Hey, man, you got a minute? Can I talk to you?" "Sure, officer. What can I do for you?" He says, "First, get your hands out of your pockets." "Oh, right, sure, okay, so what can I do for you today, officer?" And he says, "We got a report that a guy matching your description was walking down the street waving a gun at traffic." And I laughed. I mean, that was just my reflex there. I thought that was just so ludicrous that I thought he was joking with me for a second. But no, he was being dead serious. And I said, "So, 6 foot tall, athletic, black jacket, waving this gun around." I pointed at the gun on my hip. And he goes, "Yeah, I kind of had a feeling they were making it up, but we have to check it out. Can I see your ID?" And I said, "Yeah, do you want my military ID? My driver's license is still expired because I just got back from Iraq 2 weeks ago." That soothed it over right there. My demeanor, the fact that I was kind of amused about it, Another cop rolled up. He waved him off. I talked a bit. He welcomed me home, and that was it. And for a long time, I said, okay, this is an example of why Moscow cops are great, and they are. I mean, the Moscow Police Department is awesome. I've liked every interaction I've had with them. But it could have gone so much worse. And it could have gone a lot worse if I wasn't who I am with the credentials I had and the appearance I had at that time. The things that worked well for me: my demeanor. I was calm, I was polite, I was professional. I laughed when he asked about it, but I was obviously very relaxed too. I was well dressed, I wasn't like slumming around in a ratty old t-shirt and torn jeans. I wasn't obviously trying to badly conceal a firearm. I was open carrying it. He saw it was the same holster that they were issued. So right there, I'm using professional kit, even if it's a bad gun, but again, don't hold that against me. And then the military ID never hurts either. There's a lot of intersectionality between cops and military. Being able to hand over that military ID, I think, really put him at ease. But it could have gone a lot worse. And more importantly, it didn't have to go worse, because it didn't have to happen at all. If I had been concealed carrying, if I had been a little more diligent about hiding the weapon, if I'd had my jacket unzipped so it was covering it slightly, there's a whole lot of ways I could have avoided having that interaction at all. And you hear about this a lot on the primary and secondary forums. It's cascade failures. It's when bad events go really wrong, and they didn't have to, and they can be traced back to like that one first incident, that one phone call, that one misinterpretation that sets everything else in motion. So for me, the incident wasn't that some Karen swatted me. It was that I wanted to have that talisman on my hip. I still had that young soldier mentality where I needed to be armed, I needed to be ready to fight. And I let that condition me into open carrying needlessly, and that created a scenario that didn't have to happen. Now, so these days, I don't open carry much anymore. Obviously, I have to transport a lot of firearms as a gunsmith, going to and from ranges, delivering to clients, picking up from local shops. And I do open carry when I'm working, because I don't want to deal with any concealment. I want to be, people are going to know I have a gun. I've got a rifle case. Sometimes I'm carrying guns in my arms. So there's no point in trying to conceal that. So I err on the side of having my largest and most effective duty gun possible. When I open carry, I dress professionally. It's a button-down shirt, it's jeans or slacks. I love 511 stuff. My wife keeps buying it for me. I guess I look okay in it. My hair is combed. I try and keep my beard trimmed up. I try and look like a professional who's carrying firearms and not just a guy with a gun. You want to play to or play down the expectations that people have of you. If people, with their first look at you is to underestimate you, you can impress them with your charm and wit. If people look at you and they expect a professional, then all you have to do is say, yes, sir, no, ma'am, please and thank you. And they'll assume you're exactly what you look like. The reason I'm talking about this today is because Alex has been getting a lot of heat for his posts from people who are ganging up on him saying, well, you should have done this, you should have done that. The bottom line is, in the United States of America, constitutional rights are limits on the government. They're not guarantees of your ability to go do anything you want, anywhere you want. I can't come into your house and scream rock lyrics at 1 in the morning at the top of my lungs and claim free speech. And if you come over to my house and I feel like you're not safe with a gun that you have on your person, I can tell you need to leave that firearm at home or not come over. And that extends to businesses as well. Whether you like it or not, that is the way that it works in this country. So if you're going to open carry, if you're going to conceal in a non-permissive environment, you need to be very cognizant of the costs and the losses there. Some places, getting caught with a gun, it's a slap on the wrist. You maybe be escorted to leave. In some places, if you walk past the legally mandated signing, you could be looking at jail time or worse. And it's real easy to get your permits to carry pulled or even your firearms confiscated, even if you actually did nothing wrong, because you let someone see a way to take advantage of you. And there's a lot of very scared people out of there, and there's a lot of people who are just assholes. But the bottom line is, if somebody calls the cops and says, hey, this guy was threatening me, the cops are going to err on the side of caution. I got lucky. Alex didn't. And you heard me say this before on Facebook. Any plan predicated on nothing going wrong is a really bad plan. So in this case, I think Alex was dead on when he talks about the expense of feeling like he needed to have that talisman on him. And I can say that because I felt like I needed to have that talisman on me. It cost him his job. It could have cost me something too if that situation had gone down in any other way. So, be smart, be safe, be kind. I'll see you guys around.